All right, you're right on time because today on Let's Talk Love Kenya, I'm with Professor Herman Manyora to discuss one issue that has been a very important, a very pertinent, a very much of a thorn in the flesh of many families all over the world, not just in Kenya, the issue of violence in families. Welcome to the show today. My name is Kimathi. This is Let's Talk Love Kenya, a new channel by Professor Herman Manyora to help you navigate the intrigues and all the issues around family and love. Prof, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Kim.
How are you feeling today?
Well, much better.
And you're looking good.
Wonderful, yes.
Yes, Prof. So we have a problem. Two people meet.
Yes.
People who decide ultimately that this is the right person for me. Maybe it's after years of dating. Maybe it's outright after the first heartbreak. You decide, Professor Manyora is my new man I'm going to settle, or this lady is the person I'm going to get married to.
Yes, yes.
And we go through all the processes, the nuptials, the parents. Eventually we get married. But years, 2 years, 1 year, maybe even months into it, violence starts. I'm not trying to judge on which side there is violence, although we know on which side the stats tend to lean, Prof. What brings violence in a marriage?
There are many reasons. But I think top on the list is love. In other words, there may not be sufficient love, or there may be no love at all. Because people look at a girl who is beautiful and they think that is love. A girl looks at a man who is six-pack, you know, looking a little handsome, and she thinks that's so that people coming together may come together for many reasons other than love. And that will be the first reason why instances of violence may be there, that there wasn't love in the first place. There are fluctuations. You are chasing material. You think, now if I marry this girl, she comes from a rich family, my poverty is over, I'll drive a nice car. Or she looks at a man, he's handsome, or peer pressure, or not knowing exactly. You think everybody's getting married, I'm getting late, you are in a hurry. So that you end up having two people living together for anything other than love. That could be the source of violence, although there are other reasons. There are people who have their own challenges, you know, psychological issues, behavioral challenges, those sort of things.
Let's delve a little bit into that issue of psychology and a history. How then does these psychological issues, especially issues from childhood, how do they overcome the powerful force of love?
The psychologists will tell you sometimes your upbringing may affect you. If you are brought up in an environment of violence, maybe your father used to beat your mother so much, you may think the only way to handle a woman is to beat her. Because you saw your father doing it every time. Although there are others who really have hated it as they saw their mothers being beaten, that they would really hate any man who would touch a woman. But there are others, because how else would you explain a situation where a child knows she has an alcoholic father and she proceeds to be an alcoholic? I know so many. Your father is a wreck. Your mother has struggled with you. Your father earns a good salary, but he's a drunkard. How do you proceed to become a drunkard in life yourself, a girl or a boy? They are men. So likewise, a boy can grow up seeing the father beat the mother, and he might think that's a way to take care of a woman. There are challenges of that nature. There are also stereotypes in society that if you don't take care of a woman, if you are meek, a woman will sit on you. If you don't show you are a man, she will show you are. You know, there's many reasons why why there's violence, especially from the side of the man. But there's also violence from the side of the woman.
There are those instances.
Yes, yes.
Well, Prof, does chauvinism and masculinity, as we know it, I don't know if you decide it's good or bad, does the idea of manliness, does it collide with love in the context of how a man and woman relates when it comes to a man raising a hand to hit someone that they swear that they love? In fact, I've seen cases in the village where I'm from. A man gets violent with a woman, but later you're going after them. Is it that there's a conflict, some sort of dissonance between who you are and who you want to be?
You know, President Obama, I think reacting to his brother talking bad things about his father and how he treated his women, you know, he had
Yeah, during the campaign or before?
I think it's in between. I think that must have been after.
Okay.
Because his father had a number of women in his life.
Hussein.
Obama's mother, Nani's mother, and so on and so forth. What Obama said was this: here was a man, that is his father, who was facing some sort of conflict between his understanding of what a man is, giving his background, you know, and the reality of what a marriage and a man and a woman is in the Western society. So, therefore, to answer your question, yes, it is possible we may grow up thinking a man must carry himself in a certain way, that certain actions from a woman would seem to be threatening that position of a man, based on your understanding of what a man is supposed to be vis-a-vis a woman in a marriage, and that could also cause conflict. There are certain people who think just about everything, there's nothing a woman can do without asking the man. So if you hear if you one day came, your wife tells you, darling, how are you? Oh, how was your day? Fine. And you know what I've done? I got a chance for John. You're a small little boy, and I removed him from this school. There are some men who can take that. That you can take a child from school A to school B without me knowing. So it's about what people think being a man is. And this is born out of history, out of culture, out of tradition, and many other things.
All right. And Prof, one of the latest new age, so to speak, terminologies in marriage is the word partner. Of course, it's coming in because of the whole diversity of sexual orientation and all that. But partner, to me, seems to imply that there's a lot more equality in a marriage, especially in the West, than there was before. My question is there a difference between how Africans love their partners in a marriage and how the rest of the world loves them? Is there a difference between African love and the rest of the world kind of love?
You know, there's been a progression. There have been changes over time. I think from the onset of what a union and a human union that we call marriage, how it must have evolved.
A monogamous one.
Yeah, you know, evolved union. It wasn't always there. And how it became much more centralized, so that it's strictly a man and his wife and their children, no longer communal. It has evolved into the romantic period through, you know, so the romantic age. There is also the age of reason. So all these things and all this history serve to define marriage and has been changing marriage, and so that we may not have gotten where other people have gotten, so that marriage could strictly be a product of love. That A meets B and they become an item. I hear boys saying, we have become an item, or stuff of that nature. But then there were many societies where even you didn't know your spouse. They are still their spouse. Today, they are arranged marriages. Some cultures actually cannot imagine a situation where you walk with a girl home, say, I want to marry her.
And was there love brewed in those
So now
unions?
that is, I'm saying, it is not, before the marriage you don't know someone, then how can you talk about love? That this was arranged. And some cultures, some religions still have that kind of arrangement where your parents or other people will arrange marriage between you and your future spouse, okay? And even, I've seen even as I was growing up, you are like 25, you don't have a wife, and people in my area think, my home think you are getting too late. By the time you hit 28, everybody else is worried. Your sisters begin to talk to girls. Then you hear, we are bringing somebody, and somebody is brought, you okay, so and so, or you are taken to a girl's home, tunaita kuonana. Inaitwa kuonana. It is even something. It has a term, meaning it is a process that is acceptable. So you go where your aunt is married, There's a girl in the neighborhood. The girl comes to your aunt's place. You have gone with your friends. She has come with her friends. Munaonana. And you can go with her that day. So, but now you see we are moving into an era where modern world where people meet. However they meet, they fall in love, and or so they think. And then, so really, whichever way you approach a marriage, whether it is because it was arranged and never you didn't even know each other and the love wasn't there, or whether you fell in love, but there's a reality now that the two people are together. In a union, however you define love, there must be that thing that is called love. Whether it was before you met, or now that you have met, in order for you to continue living, there must be an ingredient called love. And love cannot be defined in the strict sense in which some people from the Western world will want to define love. Love must go beyond love and romance and stuff like that.
Yet in the
love
beginning,
must be responsibility also.
Responsibility. Yeah. In the beginning, you said that where there is violence, there isn't love. But then I said again, we have people, and mostly women, especially in the country. I have covered stories where a woman is beaten or abused by the husband, but you keep going back. Some say it's because of the kids. Others give a whole sort of reasons. Is there always usually a mix?
Again, some of these things because of culture and tradition.
Yeah.
If you come from a culture where it's normal for you to be slapped by your husband, and then you are slapped and you go home, your mother will just tell you go back to your... Marriage is not easy, my daughter. Rudi kwako. Vumilia. Hata mimi kama singevumilia, hamungepatikana. Singekuwa na baba yako.
What's your take, Prof? Inafaa kuvumiliwa? Should love be tolerated?
There must be an element of persevering. But I've always argued there must be understanding. And this understanding is born out of love. However way you define love. You know, there cannot be one way of defining love. Whichever way you define it, it must be that thing that makes you look at your partner as somebody you are even willing to die for. Somebody you'll take even at the worst of times. Somebody you'll be with at the best of times. So if you define love to mean that very comprehensive thing that keeps two people together, then you may have very little room for violence in a situation of that nature. Because the person you cherish and you love, you cherish, you want to protect, if she's your wife, somebody you want to stand for good or for worse, somebody, if you found somebody abusing, you are willing to die to protect, you are unlikely to be violent against them. Yes.
Well, remember, you can always share your views and comments on the comment box below. Tell us what you think. What are your experiences on the issues of violence and love? And Prof, let us close it like this.
Yes.
There's a young couple, say, for example, a young woman somewhere who's gotten into a marriage, say 2 years into, maybe there's a kid, maybe there isn't, but there are signs of violence starting to show from the man. What's your advice to this young lady?
You know, there's a challenge here. The so-called GBV, gender-based violence. Well, yeah, now, this Western people, the activists, civil society, you know, Western world, they impose things on us. So that some things that could be understood, something you could live with, it is made to look so bad and given such a bad name, gender-based violence, so that because two human beings living together, there could be conflicts. And unfortunately, some of this may not necessarily be violent or physical, but will be classified as abuse, so that even if something which could be managed is blown out of proportion by being baptized, being given a very ugly name, GBV, and the people begin even looking for people who have been abused. You know, come for rescue. We are putting up rescue centers for children and for women. We need to approach those kind of things with a lot more caution. Now, to answer your question much more directly, there is certain violence you can quickly sense.
Right.
And by the way, A niece of mine went through that. We went through a very elaborate wedding. It was beautiful. And when I approached the place, the number of cars, the kind of cars, I said, hey, hey, my niece is doing well. This must be a good man. But it was, there is some violence. I'm forgetting the English word for it. It's somebody has a problem. And you can see it. It's not normal. Somebody has a problem. That one you need to leave quickly. Because they can kill you. There's some violence that's not, I'm not saying there's normal violence, but I'm saying there are things you can manage. If somebody drinks and they become violent, you are sure if he controls alcohol, he may go down on abusive tendencies. But if somebody is, you can even see from the eyes, is like a mad person. It is up to you as a man in a marriage, newly married, as a woman in a married, young girl. There are certain things, but you have to share with people, including try to get the spouse to seek guidance, to seek support from parents, from peers, from psychologists, from counselors. But you can very quickly see this is beyond that. Then you have to walk out early enough before you are damaged, before you are killed. Because how can you live with a psychopath, for example?
You can't.
You cannot live with a psychopath. It's not difficult to know a psychopath. You can see. You can see. And I think these people who go through church weddings, some of organized churches like Anglican Church, you go through counseling as a girl and as a boy before you get married. Some of the things you'll be told is what to look for in a man. A psychopath can be seen. A sexual pervert, you can see the first night, the second night. An alcoholic who cannot be controlled. You can see these things. And if you see and you try help, immediate help from family, relatives, friends, counselors, psychologists, and you find, or where medical expertise is required and you see this is not something you can deal with, quickly walk out. That's my advice.
Quickly walk out. That's the advice from Professor Herman Manyora.
They don't take your body back to your parents.
So that they don't kill you and send you back to your parents in a coffin. That is the discussion we've had today with Herman Manyora, who has a very deep reservoir of knowledge on matters of love and country. Remember to subscribe and always keep it here on Let's Talk Love KE, where we talk matters of love and issues that affect you. Until next time, my name is Kimathi.
Children